If you've been a follower of my channel for some time, you know that one of my biggest criticisms is about game journalism. Just in general, there's a lot of things that I'm not particularly thrilled about that game journalism has become over the years. And I've noticed something after completing God of War Ragnarok that I'd like to talk about. There's no spoilers, by the way, for God of War Ragnarok. If you haven't beaten it, do yourself a favor and go finish it. It's a phenomenal game. Don't rush through it. But the one thing I noticed that I find incredibly interesting is that not a lot of game journalists gave this game the proper review that I think it deserved. Particularly when you look at a game as lengthy as this, one that spans, in my case, over 70 hours as I continue to hunt down the platinum. And for most people, golden pathing the game probably north of 20 to 25 hours just for the main story, not to mention, as I said, all the other cool add-ons, which after beating the game and kind of collecting my thoughts to put together for my review and looking to other websites and YouTube videos for thoughts and inspiration, I was surprised that kind of the big game journalists didn't really take the time to talk about this game. And if you want to know any more information about what happens to this character or why was it this way or the Easter eggs or some of the development that went into this massive game, you're not going to find it on the big normal corporate websites. You're going to find it from little content creators, not me personally, but others like me, who are just super fans who just kind of decided to do it themselves. And it really made me realize, once again, that game journalism has really let us down. I think, and this is my best guess, that a lot of these reviewers rushed through this game to make sure that they were able to speak about it when the review embargo lifted. Now, keep in mind, this game launched on November 9th, 2022. So it's been 2+ months since the game launched, including, at least here in North America, a significant amount of time, downtime for Christmas and for Thanksgiving breaks. So a lot of people have had time to sink their teeth into this game. There hasn't really been any major launches between then and today. So it's been pretty easy. I think if people want to beat this game and they are invested in video gaming, you're really kind of out of excuses at this point. So a lot of people like me kind of popping their head up now, having completed the game, looking for other information, looking for other story discussion or spoiler casts or anything like that. And you're going to find the same thing that I did. Most of the game reviewers who played this game during their spoiler casts typically are interviewing game developers who worked on God of War Ragnarok or people who are very familiar with it, but they themselves don't really have much to add to the conversation. And in numerous interviews, and I'll pick on IGN because I just got done listening to that one, you'll even hear Max Scoville say, yeah, I didn't even see that area. They ask about an optional area. Again, I'm not going to spoil it for you. He asks about an optional area, and the guy says, well, what did you think about it? And he goes, I don't know. It's written on my piece of paper here. What did you think about it? And I was like, ooh. And I have seen this start to become much more prevalent over the years, and that's why I continue to be frustrated with game media. Yet, I still feel we as gamers are somewhat handcuffed to listening to game media because they're the ones who get the early access and they're the ones who get the behind the scenes and these great interviews with people, and they ask really stupid questions because they don't have the time or the effort or whatever you want to call it to put into actually developing a meaningful conversation. And most of the times it's because they haven't finished the game or they're rushing through it so quickly. When you look at a game like God of War Ragnarok, which answers so many story beats from the original game and carries them over, and the litany of visual and graphical and story beats and Easter eggs that are packed into this game, there are so many of them. So many of them. It would blow your mind. I don't even want to get into all of them. And maybe I need to do it myself and talk about it. But it blows my mind that a lot of the game journalists who did these like wrap-up reviews just did a very bad job of it. And they would talk to the main story beat, but they missed out on all this ancillary content. And it really, again, reframes my thoughts that when I read these critical reviews of games, IGN giving it a 10 out of a 10, calling it a masterpiece, do they even understand what that means? When Kind of Funny goes around the table and they all sit and talk about the things that they're doing, or when GameSpot has their after wrap-up thing and they're talking about stuff, it's very clear to me that a lot of them are really kind of talking about stuff that somebody else told them to say. Reminds me of a Twitter exchange I had years ago with Adam Sessler of G4 fame, the first time, not the second go-round, but back then. He was commenting on something, and I wrote him a message on Twitter, and he revealed to me, and I don't think it was like some game-breaking or like journalistic news story that I uncovered, but he revealed to me that a lot of the games he doesn't even play at all. He just gets little snippets of footage from other people playing, and then he formulates his opinion based on that. And that was very surprising to me that he was so vocal and adamant, like, what's the big deal? Doesn't everybody do this? Well, no, not everybody does this. So I guess what I'm saying is, I wrap up this video for today, it's just yet again another example of how gaming journalism continues to fail us. And despite all of the nonsense that goes on with YouTube and the algorithm and demonetization and all the other nonsense that we have to put up with, I think the independent gamer, the little guy like me, who's just putting together his dopey videos and thoughts that gets maybe, 20, 30 views, whatever, absolutely is important to the conversation, because when the time comes and you beat Ragnarok and you want to hear more about, well, why was this character here, or why did this happen, you're not going to find it on major news sites. They just don't care. And God of War Ragnarok, I think, is a perfect example. It's a universally loved game. There are probably other rabbit holes of other games that are probably even less memorable or notable or whatever. And obviously that's what subreddits are for, and the fan community to continue to feed into that. But don't think that when you read some of these reviews and thoughts, the game that the journalists played are very different than the experience you are going to have. And that wraps up today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, I will see you guys on the other side.